Is your elderly pet slowing down, and playtime isn't the same anymore? Pleading face. Don't let age steal his joy. Age is a golden phase, but it requires adaptation. We'll show you gentle and creative ways to keep your friends stimulated, focusing on comfort and cognition. Ensure the best golden years. Click and see how.
You know, there's this quiet, unspoken understanding you have when you share your life with an older pet. The bond is just deeper. Their routines are second nature. But as they get older, I think we all start asking ourselves the same thing. Am I doing enough to make their golden years as happy as they can possibly be?
So have you started to notice it? Maybe they're sleeping a little bit more, or they don't quite explode with energy at the door like they used to. It's totally natural, of course, but it can leave you feeling a little, well, helpless and wondering if you're really doing enough for them.
And trust me, you are not alone in feeling that way. I saw this quote from a Reddit user and it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that little worry so many of us have. We see them resting and sure, they look content, but there's that nagging feeling in the back of your mind that you could and maybe should be doing more.
But what if we flip the script on this? What if we stop seeing it as a sad decline and start seeing it as a time for adaptation? This is our chance to find new, creative ways to keep them engaged, and we can do that by focusing on 3 key areas: their comfort, their cognition, and our connection. Let's dive in.
Okay, so first things first. To really help them, we have to understand what they're going through. Let's start by looking at the common challenges that pop up during their golden years.
The thing to remember here is that none of these things happen in a vacuum. They're all connected. Painful joints from arthritis? Well, that can lead to weaker muscles and, naturally, lower energy. Senses like sight and hearing starting to fade. That can make them a lot less confident. Just getting a handle on this is really the first most important step.
And that brings us right to our first C, comfort. Honestly, adapting their environment to be comfortable, safe, and easy for them to get around in is one of the most loving things we can do.
And you'd be amazed what a world of difference these simple, practical changes can make. A ramp up to the sofa means they can still cuddle with you without a painful jump. And for pets whose eyesight is getting a bit fuzzy, these sensory cues are just brilliant. The sound of a water fountain or feeling a different rug under their paws helps them build a mental map of the house so they can still move around with confidence.
All right, now for the fun part. Getting older doesn't mean playtime is over. Not by a long shot. It just means we need to get a little more creative. This is all about boosting that second C we talked about, cognition.
Look, the key here isn't to stop playing, it's to modify how you play. That marathon game of fetch in the park, it can become a shorter, gentler game of just rolling the ball along the grass. And for our cat friends, a one toy skittering along the floor is just as thrilling as one flying through the air. It's all about protecting their joints, while still letting them be a dog or a cat.
And hey, let's not forget about their minds. Mental exercise is every bit as important as physical. Scent games are fantastic for this. You just hide some treats and let them use that powerful nose of theirs to find them. It's super low impact. Even something as simple as putting on some calm music can provide great stimulation for a pet who spends a lot of their day just resting.
Okay, and this is a really critical one. Choosing the right toys. A senior pet's teeth can be a lot more fragile. Hard chews like antlers or bones, they pose a real risk of fracturing a tooth, and nobody wants that. Instead, you want to opt for softer rubber toys, like the senior version of a Kong, or those plush puzzle toys. It's a simple switch that can save you a painful and really expensive trip to the vet.
So beyond all the games and home makeovers, this stage of their life gives us this incredible opportunity to focus on our third C, connection. It becomes less about doing things and more about just being together.
As our pets get older, their whole world can kind of shrink. Our presence becomes their main source of enrichment, of security. Gentle grooming isn't just about keeping them clean, it's that physical touch that can soothe an arthritic pet who just can't reach their own back anymore. And a bucket list doesn't have to be some grand adventure. It can be as simple as a car ride with the windows cracked open. These quiet moments are everything.
And you know what? You absolutely can teach an old dog or cat new tricks. Using positive reinforcement, which is really just a fancy way of saying you reward them for what they do right, is a wonderful way to communicate and make that bond even stronger. Teaching a simple trick like touch or high five is great for their brain and just reinforces that you two are still a team.
Now, this brings us to something that's, well, it's a bit heavier, but it is so important.
We do all these things for them, but it can still be really hard to know, objectively, if we're making a real difference.
Right? It's that nagging question that can keep you up at night. Their world gets quieter, their signs and signals get more subtle. So how do we get past our own emotions and get a clearer, more honest picture of their day-to-day quality of life?
This is where a tool like this can be an absolute game changer. This quality of life scale was developed by veterinarians, and I want to be clear, it is not a test. Think of it more like a guide or a compass. It just gives you a structured way to think about different parts of your pet's life, from their appetite to how much they interact with you, and lets you track those things over time.
The scoring system just helps you translate what you're seeing into something a little more tangible. It helps you notice when things might be changing, and it gives you a concrete reason to check in with your vet. Again, this is not about passing or failing. It's about being an informed, observant, and proactive partner in your best friend's care.
And I really want to leave you with this thought. There is no perfect way to care for a senior pet. You're going to have good days and you're going to have harder days. But the most important thing is your effort, your love, and your presence. By focusing on their comfort, their cognition, and your connection, you are absolutely doing more than enough.
So as we wrap this up, just think about one small thing you heard today that you could try with your pet this week. Maybe it's a new food puzzle. Maybe it's just 5 extra minutes of gentle brushing. Or maybe it's just rolling a ball down the hallway. Because at the end of the day, it's those small acts of love that make their golden years truly golden.
Small acts of love create the perfect golden years.